We've got an interesting video for you today. My partner, Cody Barton, is actually going to be breaking down the phases of business, and he's going to be breaking down what solopreneur, steady op, local success story, and self-managing companies have as differences, and what is their biggest success maker? What's the biggest thing that makes them successful? What are their breaking points? What are the biggest issues? Why is your company stuck here at 0 to 250,000? Why is your company stuck here between 250 and $1 million? In fact, 97% of companies will never get past this point right here. So Cody Barton, my partner, is going to be breaking these things down and talking about some of the companies that we own and some of the things that we've done to break through all of these things. And collectively, we're actually well above this. We actually have combined in our companies that we own, we generate somewhere around $40 million a year between all of the companies that we own together. And so Cody Barton is definitely a strong person to be telling you this. You guys can check out his YouTube channel and also check out his Instagram for more information. But without further ado, let's bring on Cody Barton.
Let's do it. So obviously, as we can see here on the whiteboard, we have a few different components here that we're looking at. We're looking at the collective revenues on each of these stages. We're looking at, the team size at each of these stages as well. And we're also looking at, okay, what amount of businesses in the United States are there? And so we're starting here at the solopreneur stage, which is probably where a lot of you guys are at. But when we're looking at this stage, what is it that really causes a business to become successful at each of these stages? And there's trends that happen, and just like in real estate, there's similar trends that you could find in business and patterns that you recognize when you start doing this business for many, many years. And so let's break this down for you. So when we're looking at this solopreneur stage, or we kind of look at this of the 0 to about 250,000 a year in revenue, the 0 to 3 team members, meaning it might just be you, or it might be you, your brother, your husband, your wife, and maybe one of your kids, right? So when you're looking at this, what is the success factor? Honestly, the success factor of getting to this point is really a couple of things that I look at. One is mindset, and then just sales. And the funny thing about this is a lot of times when people are at this stage in business, the conversations that I have with business owners in this range is they're like, I'm just, I'm really trying to, I'm just having a hard time. I'm just trying to figure out how to just stay consistent. Business owners that start to get to these other stages, they've worked through a lot of their mindset issues around their business. And so really when you're looking at this first stage, it's really getting into the mindset of consistency, doing what you said you were going to do when you first initially made the commitment to your business. A lot of these business owners that I talk to, they're just having a hard time just doing the thing every day, day in and day out, which getting the mindset right, and then also it leads into sales. Obviously, we got to sell some stuff. And so at this stage, the success factor is getting your mind right and also then selling enough of the thing that you offer, whether you have a product or whether your company has a service, is just getting out there, pounding the pavement, whatever you have to do to make those sales happen.
How do these people get over mindset issues? What's a good way, what's a tip for them to get over their mindset issues? Books to read, maybe even join Scale with Pros, the community?
Yeah, so I think, around mindset is, one is thinking about, there's a saying that birds of a feather flock together. And so if you go home every night after you had a hard day, you're already actively working against, this force of average, getting to that 250K a year. You have to be putting good things in so that good comes out. So that's reading the right books. It's reading, I love a lot of Zig Ziglar books around mindset, or if we think about communities to get involved in, obviously if you're listening to this and you're not involved in, one, the Subto community, that is a great place to network with great people. I also have a community, called Scale with Pros, that if you're trying to scale, you have to do it around other professionals that have already done what you want to do. And if you look at and you audit your circle, and if your 5 best friends that you spend the most time with aren't earning the type of money that you want, don't have the type of health that you want, don't have the lifestyle that you want, but that's who you're spending time with, you're not going to be able to break out of this. So you have to get your mindset right, and then you have to get, this sales mechanism working every single day in your business consistently. And part of getting your mind right, again, it's getting around that group of other professionals so that you could be networking and finding out how they're staying consistent, how they're staying motivated, and how they're working through the steps in their business as well. So that is the solopreneur stage of where you need to be focusing to get to the next stage in your business. And when we talk about the next stage, we call this our steady operation. This is where, okay, you've gotten out of just the brute force grind of the business where you literally have to do everything when you have no team members to now you might have a couple team members, a few people on your team, and they're actually helping you do the thing, whether it's maybe they're helping you do some marketing, they're helping you with the sales, maybe they're helping with the operations of what you do, maybe you have a bookkeeper doing some of your finances for you, so or paying bills and collecting money from your clients or your customers. That is the steady operation stage. And so when we look at this stage, we're at typically $250,000 to $1 million a year in revenue. The team size, again, somewhere between 4 to 10, depending on the type of business. You may only have 2 or 3 people, or you might have 12 or 15. It just depends what your business model specifically is, but this is generally the range in this study that was done. And there's about 1.9 million businesses in the United States within this revenue range currently. And so what is the success factor? Why is it that these businesses go from that 250 to $1 million a year in revenue? Here it is. You've worked past your mindset issues. You have now a marketing and sales mechanism that creates consistency. And so what does that mean? It means that when we look at every business, I look at every business as a conveyor belt. We're at the top of the conveyor belt is your marketing, your leads. Your leads are falling onto the conveyor belt, and then your sales mechanism, the way that you sell your customers, is consistently converting those leads, enough of those leads on a regular basis to spit those out on the conveyor belts, so then your operations can be fulfilled, whether you fulfill with the product or you fulfill with the service. And so the focus here really is you need to be marketing, you need to be generating leads, and you need to be selling those leads consistently. This is what you have to focus on if you want to get to $1 million a year in revenue. Obviously, you have operations to take care of, you have to manage the company money. Those things go without saying. But what is the success factor, the thing that determines you getting to this point or not, is really the marketing and sales that you're doing with your company. So we've talked about going from 0 to 250K a year. We're looking at going from 250 to $1 million a year. And then we're looking at going to becoming that local success story in your market. And that is the $1 million to $3 million a year range. Your team size is likely grown at this point. You have somewhere between it might be 10 to 20, maybe upwards of 25 team members that are now supporting this business. And the number of businesses that are at this $1 million to $3 million is under $1 million, guys. The stat on this is actually only 7% of businesses in America actually get over $1 million a year in revenue. And so when we look at that and we're like, okay, well, if to get to $1 million, we know that we had to focus on our marketing and sales. What starts to happen now at that 1 to 3 million range, and how do you continue going down to this ultimate goal, which is my favorite goal to grow every company to, which is creating a self-managing company? Well, when we look at this 1 to 3 million range, what's the success factor? It's this. It's your people and your operations. And so you might say, Cody, what the heck does that mean? Well, it's having the right people doing the right things in your business. One of the things that we identify whenever we're going, our Scale with Pros teams goes into a company, and when we look at what's going on in the business, more oftentimes than not, it's one of these 2 problems that's preventing them from going to this self-managing company. And when we look at the people side, what could be going wrong with the people? It's typically that you have the wrong people in the wrong seats, which is now stunting the growth for your business. And how does that happen? Here's one of the most common areas that we see this. It's you back at solopreneur stage, steady operation stage. You hired your cousin as a bookkeeper because she knew how to work Excel and then watched a YouTube video on QuickBooks. And now she's your bookkeeper. But you, at this stage here, called her your CFO because you didn't have much money to pay her, so you just gave her a good title. And now this, QuickBooks, know-how person that watched a couple videos on how to do it is now the CFO for a company at 1 to 3 million a year in revenue. But here's the problem. That person that's now, that you called your CFO at this stage is now actually in working in your business when you need someone that has more skills. And if that person hasn't made the jump in improving their education, improving their skill set, they become the bottleneck in your finance team. The other thing that you could see happen is, well, let's look at another department. If it's not finance, it might be your operations team member. You hired your, some other family member, your best friend from college, and you called them your COO, and they really have no working experience. Their last job was working as the assistant manager at McDonald's, and you're like, you're my COO now. And it worked out in the 0 to 250. It worked out upwards of $1 million because the entire focus was marketing and sales. Operations wasn't as important yet. But now you're in this 1 to 3 million range, and now you need a properly structured company. You need the right processes to track your company's metrics. You need the right processes to track the KPIs, your key performance indicators of the entire organization. Who's doing that? Who's implementing that? Probably not Mr. or Mrs. Assistant Manager from McDonald's that you now call your COO that now is out of their depths in this 1 to 3 million range. And so this sounds harsh, but a lot of the times what we see is in this range that you end up having the wrong people in the wrong seat at your company, and people get stuck because they don't have a hard conversation about how to fix it. And then just generally on the operations side, you know, you're not implementing the right tools, you're not implementing technology. You know, I've talked about in other videos, you know, a company that Pace and I owned together called The Plant Guy. You know, they were in this range when we came on with them. They didn't have a CRM, a customer relationship management tool. So there's layers that we could unpack on this. But when we look at the success factor, it comes down to the people, yourself included, because the business will only grow to the lid of the leaders that are leading the business. So that means yourself and the people that you're putting in those leadership positions. So if you get this right on the people side, you get the right ops in place for that team, you're leading them well, you're focusing on growing your leadership skills at this stage, you can keep on moving on to what we have here as the final stage, which is what I think everybody should be striving to grow their business to, because this is where you create the most freedom in your life, in your business, and you can create really an amazing company. And so the last stage is what I call the self-managing company, which is my entire focus, you know, with everything that we do at Scale with Pros, is showing businesses how do we create high profit self-managing companies. Well, one of the things is we need to know what that looks like. And the target, you know, to create that is we want to go to this 3 to 10 million range. Obviously, then we could go to 20, 30, 40 and beyond, right? But the goal is getting to this stage. And so you may ask, well, why that stage? Well, when you have, you know, 3 to 5, 7, 8, $10 million a year in revenue, what can you do? You can go and pay really freaking smart people to lead the departments in your company that are so much smarter than you and that actually can self-manage their departments so that you can create the freedom that you want, so that you can create the revenue that you want and the profitability that you want because you have really smart people leading your business. And so this is, you know, typically your business is getting bigger. You have maybe somewhere between 20 to 50 different team members that are working within your organization. There's even less businesses that achieve this level of success. So what is the success factor at this part? This is where it gets into strategic alignment and planning. So we've talked about from the beginning stage, we gotta get the mindset right. We gotta sell the stuff. We get to the next stage, we gotta figure out how to get enough leads in the door, sell enough of those leads, and do that in a consistent, predictable way. We move up to this $1 million to $3 million. Now do we have the right people helping do these things in the business? Okay, if we got that, do we have, you know, our scorecard, our tracking, the way that we're doing the business all dialed in? Perfect, we get past that. Now it's strategic alignment and planning. What the heck does that mean, Cody? Well, so that basically just means, you know, do you have for your company, do you have a vision in place? Do you have a mission in place? Do you have core values in place? Do you have a way that you do your company's annual and your quarterly planning? And so why is this important? Well, when you're smaller, when you have 2 people on your team, you have 5, you have 10 people, you're on a daily basis able to be connecting with all of them and be casting your vision into all of those people every day because you see them you only have 4 people, you have 5, you have a small team. So everyone is on the same page because you're communicating it so consistently to them. But you get into this bigger organization, you have 20 people, 30 people, 40 people, you get into businesses like, you know, Pace has or I have, you know, or the businesses that we have together, and you have people being hired at your company, you don't know their name, you didn't even know they got hired, you have whole departments that you've maybe maybe you didn't even meet, you know, half of the team that's over in a specific department. How do you keep these people aligned and rowing the boat all in the same direction. Because if you don't have this, you have, your marketing team that's rowing this way because they're like, we need to do this. This is important. And then you have sales over here rowing in this direction. You have finance with just, their paddles just in the water. Like, we should just stop and we need to, it's like you have this jacked up boat that's not rowing anywhere, and you start to get into a spin and you get stuck. And so to continue growing, you have to get this alignment of, everyone in the organization understands this is our company's mission. This is our vision. These are the values, which the values are how do we all behave together on the way towards that mission, that vision. And then the planning. It's okay, everyone knows what our mission is. Everyone knows what the vision is. Everyone knows how to behave on the way there. Then it becomes, okay, well then what are our goals? What's the priority? Because now you got 20, 30, 40, 50 personalities with their opinions of what we should do, but that's where we have to, again, align. It's that if we're rowing in the same direction, we all need to know what the destination is that we're rowing to. And that's where, creating an annual plan, it's like, okay, next year's coming up. What is our revenue goal? How many team members do we want to have? What new products or services do we want to launch? What new markets do we want to launch? Creating and crafting that plan for that upcoming year so the team is on the same page of everyone knows, this entire group knows what is our goal for the next year. And then they know, okay, we know the goal for the year. Then we're going into the first quarter of the year. What is the goal that must be true during that first quarter to achieve then that annual goal? To have us on track for the goal for that year, obviously we need to win the quarter. And so it's like we plan for the year, we chunk it to the quarter. If we need to achieve this quarter, what do we need to achieve this month? What does that mean we need to achieve this week? What does that mean we need to achieve this day? And so it's putting the plan in place, sharing that vision, the mission, the values to the team, and then showing what must be true each day, each week, each month, each quarter, to make sure that that plan could actually be achieved. And so the reason that this becomes the more important part at this stage is you've now likely at this revenue range, you've hired some really smart people. Like you have a marketing person running your company's marketing, or a salesperson running the sales department, or you have an ops manager or director at this stage that's running the operations. And they're likely way smarter than you from past experiences, and you can afford to pay them higher salaries at this range. So they should be running their department. And that's why this part matters, because you can go to your ops person or your marketing department leader and say, hey, we know this is the goal for the year. What does that mean for you? And they should, if they're competent and they know what they're doing in their role, see how what they do every day contributes towards achieving that goal. And why has this become self-managing? Well, we're tracking the activities that matter. We're assigning to competent, smart leaders within each department within the company, and then they execute. And you lead and you manage at this stage to help the business continue to grow, which is why we call it a self-managing company. So that is, essentially from the beginning of when you're first getting started and you're working through these stages, what we've seen just as the success factors that really are holding people back as you're jumping through each of these stages. Okay, so if your business is doing this range where you're in this range of steady operation, or you're a solopreneur, what I would do is check the link in the description below, join our Scale with Pros membership community, because you're gonna get around a group of other professionals that are growing and scaling their businesses, that are working through these same challenges in their business, and we want to invite you to become a part of our community so that we can help you work through these stages. And if you are at a stage in your business where you're already this local success story and you're thinking, how do I create this self-managing company? What I'd like you to do is click the link below in the description, and we'll actually get on a call with you. We call this our roadmap call, which is essentially, think of this as a doctor's appointment for your business, where we're gonna get on, we're gonna pop open the hood and understand, where are you most stuck right now? Where within these processes that you don't currently have in place that you need to get in place, and we'll walk you through what it looks like to take your business from this 1 to 3 million to this 3 to 10 million and help you create that high profit self-managing company. So with that being said, click the link in the description below, and we'll see you in the community.